This is at a coach stop just out of Paris. Belgium passed the border about 5 minutes ago.
They have a wood-ribbed glass, so it's this really old glass, and I think they only have probably about to take it. Is that they have a beer card, so you can pay €8.50 for this beer card. There's 4 of them are kind of their top choices that they think are good beers for you to try out, different spectrum of it, and then the last beer is your choice. So it's kind of open reign on beers, so if you like one you had before, you can get that one, or try a different one off of the massive menu on the wall of the 25 beers. I wish I was getting off here again. I recommend the cherry beer. They'll have like a strawberry beer. So there's all kinds of fruit beers. Then there's the Trappist beers. The Trappist beers one, and that was a weak one. So Trappist ones are quite strong. The monks make them in their little breweries, and they like strong beer. So there's lots of beer to be had, and it's a part of it. So there's lots. They're interesting. One of them is the Basilica of the Holy Blood, aptly named because inside garments and dress up, but it already happened earlier this year. So this is the Church of Our Lady. And the interesting thing about that church is that there's also a bell tower. It has 366 steps, and you can pay to go up it. It will be closed tomorrow. It is closed on Mondays, so if you want to climb the bell tower, you should either do it today, or you can get up early on Tuesday morning before the coach leaves every hour, all through the night. So if you're in snuffles and slightly awake, I mean, they won't wake you up if you're asleep, but if you're awake, you'll hear them at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., the 47 bells going off. So if you're up on the tower on the hour, beware, it's really loud. Some people purposely like to go up there to hear how loud it is with 47 bells going off, so that's a sight you can do. I mentioned the Chocolate Museum, and I also mentioned the brewery. Plus, it's just lovely to walk around Bruges. Bruges is, you get on a little boat, and it'll take you around Bruges.
Bruges.
the supermarket is through that gate, down that street, on the left-hand side. Came up quicker than that. So, I don't know how I got lost. Through the gate, another 2-3 blocks, it's on your left-hand side, just straight. That's where the big supermarket is. And we're in Bruges. So we're here, and it involves the French. And the guy who did the tour for me was not a very fond fan of the French, so when he was telling the story, it was pretty hilarious. But there is a reason for them, so it's another little quirky thing for here. I'm not spoiling it. You should do the walking tour.
This is the stairway in the hostel. It is very scary. They assured us that nobody had fallen down drunk. They didn't talk about anybody falling down old. This is when you get to the first floor.
This is the Snuffle Hostel in Bruges, and that open window is where I'm sleeping. It doesn't look as high when I look at it from there. The next room I'm sleeping, the white building. But this is a lovely little street. It's Sunday, not very quiet. I'm going for a walk. They run 3 walks from 7 till 9 at night, but I shall join. Idea where I'm going. I'm just going to have a little explore around Bruges, and this is a gateway to somewhere. It's Sunday, so maybe that's why the streets are very quiet. A lot of the shops are closed. Supermarket isn't open on Sunday. A bit more cobblestone streets. The buildings have a very different look to anywhere else I've been. They've got this nice little sort of small steps and stairs up to the top. Quite a different look. This is under the church, that big church tower with all the bells. I've only just got here this afternoon, but this is by far the nicest place I've been to. Not too small, not too big. And that courtyard in the middle that you don't even realise is there till you get into it. I come part way up the belfry. I'm just taking a picture here.
Right there. There you go. Oh, you mean that one? Yes.
Yeah.
Where's that? That's right. If I thought it could make it in the mail, I would send him there. I don't know if it run all over the place.
De har ik här en dat är orange. Orange is sterk.
Ah, dus maar dat is gedaan.
J'ai vu une boîte moitié plus petite, elle était à 5,50 €.
Donc là, on dirait que c'est pas une vitrine. On dirait que tu peux les prendre.
On dirait qu'on peut les prendre.
Regarde, on dirait qu'on peut les prendre là. Là, mets-toi devant, tu vas voir. T'as l'impression qu'il n'y a pas de vitrine.
Ouais.
Je te le jure. J'ai un point aussi.
Ici, devant nous, on a posé les bûches dans ce là.
Sitting in her doorway and making lace, and just depending on tips or donations, it's sort of like a lace making busker. There's the rooster on top. There's a lot of chooks here in the little souvenir shop, so chooks are obviously important. I don't know, it's a city, it's small enough to walk around but big enough to be interesting. And lots of little lanes. No need to catch a bus, but there's quite a lot to see.
Maar ja, nu is het toch wel een beetje, het is minder mooi. Daar kun je nu. Aan de controle is aan.
Hier aan de rechterzijde aan de brug de ingang tot het Begijnhof. Begijnhof is een hoofddeur die in zaal 45 werd gevestigd door Margaretha van Constantinopel. Ingevonden bij Enigheid. Ja, ja.
Du, das ist ja jetzt vermietet auch.
There's a mermaid. Represents their sea. In the middle of a very large square. It looks to me like it might be the main where the buses stop. There's also a very large, it's a gallery, museum, whatever in this area. Fountains playing in here, but they're not. So that was the bus depot. Tourism and culture, this big building is. I should have a look at that. It's a big open square. I haven't come across it before. Finding little surprises in Bruges if you keep walking.
passe en bateau, ça s'ouvre au grand.
Lekkere fles in, jongen? Ja, daar, ja, ik heb een goed fles.
It's a very peaceful, unhurried place. People tend to stroll rather than walk fast anywhere. This bike park rivals Kyoto's. Stacks and stacks and stacks of bikes. It's very flat here, so apart from the cobblestones, that's very good biking territory. These are all parked outside the, well, I'm thinking it's a train station. I'm just going to find out.
Being capital of culture, and they have created this using some real medieval plans, so it's pretty authentic. It will look totally the same like in the Middle Ages. And it used to be on a square in the center of the city, but a kind of crazy guy, he set it on fire because he thought it was ugly and shouldn't be standing in front of his door, so it had to burn. Then they had to restore it and moved it away here, because here's a nicer spot because no one can touch it. Okay, we're gonna go here.
The winch. A winch that they climb. Oh, it's an old canal lock that used to be used when the ships used to come up. The winch. They used to walk along that, walk up the spokes of the wheel like a hamster to turn up.
This used to be a wall with water behind it. Where the cars are riding, there used to be another wall with water behind that. And at the bridge there used to be a big gate. So in the Middle Ages, to conquer a city like Bruges was almost impossible. Because you would need an enormous army to surround the city and then wait for the people to die from hunger. In the meantime, people could do a surprise attack or wait for help from another Flemish city. It wasn't that Flemish city who wanted to attack us. So the only way the enemy could enter the city was by treason, by someone from the inside opening the gates. In peacetime, in wartime, this would be totally open to have a long view, but in peacetime there used to be a lot of windmills in the surroundings. There used to be like 28 windmills in the surroundings. And they use windmills here, and especially Holland and the north of Flanders are famous for the windmills. The landscape is totally flat, and there's always a bit of wind. So they use windmills here instead of water mills like in Germany. They used windmills to make bread. Like inside, you visit some windmills, you can see inside two big stones rubbing each other. You can put grain in between the stones, and then they rub the grain very thin, and then you can make flour. But now it's not used for that purpose anymore. It's used to make the city look beautiful.
Christmas time they actually decorate the wings.
And the tower was like for the really rich, it's a kind of status symbol. The bigger the tower, the bigger the wallet. But the towers, there's a lot of towers in the city. It had another function as well, because if you climb up the tower, you see in your neighbor's garden, then you can start gossiping to them. And if you look a little bit to the left of the tower, you can see a big white pole. There's another white pole, and they use it for archery. So like in the Middle Ages, every profession, they have their own worker unions. This used to be the worker union of the people who shot with the hand bow. and the other one was the worker union, the people who shot with a crossbow. And those guys provided the city militias to defend the city in case of war. But now it's an elite group, you have to be nominated to join, and they still use it for shooting. They're shooting right now, actually. They can lower the pole, and then on the sticks they put feathers. We call that birds. And they put it back up, and they stand next to the pole and try to shoot the bird. And the one on top is called the head bird. And they have the saying in Flemish, and it goes something, if I translate it, to shoot the head bird, and that means something like hitting the jackpot. So then you're the winner of the tournament. Okay.
Majority in the
Walking back into the city centre.
He was one of the first to write his poems in Flemish. But to understand that, I have to sketch you a little bit of history about Belgium. So probably you've noticed that I don't talk a lot about Belgium, but a lot about Flanders. It's because Belgium is a very young country. It only exists from 1830, and it was created to make a buffer between Germany, France and the UK. Because those three major countries in Europe, they all wanted to have this region, but they didn't want the other to have. So there's a new country created, but now we're living here with three totally different kinds of people. So in the north, you're in Flanders, where we speak Flemish. In the south, you're in Wallonie, where they speak French. And we have a little part in the east, where they speak German. So we have three national languages, and therefore we have to learn 4 languages at school. So we have to learn Dutch, French, German and English. We also have 3 different governments for each part 1, and then 1 federal government for Belgium. And the capital of Belgium is Brussels, and Brussels is also the capital of Europe, where the European Parliament is in Brussels. So in the north we speak Flemish or Dutch, it's the same language, but it wasn't always that way, because all the way until 1960, everything official and everyone who thought they were important spoke French. Like the law was in French, the police spoke French, the owners of the big factories, they spoke French. And the common people, they only understood Flemish, because they only went to school until they were 12, and then they had to start working in the farms. So they didn't learn to speak French. So like in the First World War, a lot of Flemish soldiers were killed by not understanding the orders. Because the officers used to be nobles, and they used to speak French. And they gave their orders in French, and at the end of the order they used to say "Pour les Flamands la même chose," and that means in French then for the Flemish the same, but in French. So a lot of soldiers didn't know what to do and were killed by that. And then in 1960 there was a big student revolution in Leuven. That's another Flemish city with one of the oldest universities of Europe. And the students, they came on the street there demanding to have their lessons given in Flemish. So from 1960, everything official is spoken in Flemish, so it's not that very long ago. And that's why this poet was so important for us, because he was one of the first to say you have to be proud at your own language and at your own culture. A lot of churches in Bruges, but this one is a bit unusual. It's called the Church of Jerusalem, because it's a copy of the church in Jerusalem. And that's because after the Crusades, a lot of Flemish lords went on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, to the Holy Country. And one of those lords saw that church over there. It's a small room, one room 4 meters by 4 in the bottom, and one room at the top. And they used to live there with more than 10 children. And a way to provide, to earn their living was to make lace. And lace is the fabric you can see here behind the window. And lace is something Bruges is very famous for. But the people who used to make lace in the late Middle Ages, they made lace to make women's underwear for the prostitutes. But now you can buy almost anything in lace in the tourist shops. Even men's underwear. It was less trying to sell it. But, And you can often see in summertime an old lady behind the belfry tower. You can see her making lace, and she sits there in traditional clothes. And she sits there with a big cushion in front of her, with some pins in the cushion. And on the pins there are hanging little white threads with like wooden blocks on the threads. And then she does like this. And then she has lace. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. And this is also a museum. It's called In the Black Cat. It's a very nice.
And it's good in that from an economic perspective. This is.
Wow. Until the market square. And actually now the water still is going, but it goes underneath the ground. And this used to be the medieval unloading docks. So they used the wooden crane we saw earlier on. They used it here to lift the goods out of the boats. And then the people had to pay taxes to import some stuff here. But, in that house in the corner, and this house used to be the weighing house where the goods were weighed. And in later times this was the academy where people learned how to paint. If you see a sculpture, a big statue in Bruges, and this guy, Jan van Eyck, he's a painter. He's one of the Flemish masters, and he lived in around the same age like Michelangelo, but he's way better than Michelangelo because he paints like we take a picture, very realistic. And in one of his paintings, he had painted a couple with a small mirror in between the couple. It's about that size on the painting. But if you look at it with the magnifying glass, you can actually see the painter himself inside the mirror painting the couple. It's a ball mirror, and it's in the right perspective, so it's pretty amazing. Another painting of him, he had painted a priest with a kind of skin disease. And by studying that painting, they have discovered which kind of skin diseases people had in the Middle Ages. And this painting you can see in the Art Museum here in Bruges. The other one is in New York.
I just got a question.
What? The last defending place of the city, when the enemy was able to come in here, it meant the city was fallen. And there used to be a big church over there, and you could seal the place up over there and over there. And it's also an important square because you have like 5 or 6 different kinds of styles of architecture on one square. So here you have something in neoclassical. Next to it you have the city hall, that's in Gothic. In the corner there's an old basilic, and inside it's in Roman style, very old, from 900 after Christ. Over there you have something in Baroque, and behind you have something contemporary, and they call that art. And it's a way of thinking that modern art has to be able to stand next to old art. It was also created, made in a kind of fabric. It normally should vanish in 5 years. It doesn't seem to vanish. I think they're stuck with it. But it's standing on the foundations of the church. You can also visit the foundations. You just have to enter the hotel over there and ask at the counter, and then see the foundation. And under the ground they hold a relic there. They hold a tube of blood with blood of Jesus Christ. And it's because somewhere in 1160 there was a Flemish earl, and he went fighting in the Crusades to liberate Jerusalem. And when they captured Jerusalem, he found that relic over there, and he brought it back to Bruges. And ever since they keep it in that building. And ever since, from when it was here until now, every year there's a big procession when they carry around the holy blood in the street. And it's a very important procession for the city, and I'll demonstrate with an anecdote. Because once in the Middle Ages, the people of Ghent came here knocking at the gates, like, we want to attack you. The people of Bruges were very angry because it was their procession day, and they didn't want to fight. So they told the people of Ghent, just go away, we won't fight you today. Just come back tomorrow and then we'll fight you. So the people of Ghent, they went away, they came back the next day, and they were defeated by us, of course. Okay, we're gonna enter the gate over there. And if you have a look at the back, It's very nice. And then you'll understand a bit why Bruges is often called the Venice of the North. Like Bruges and Amsterdam are often called the Venice of the North. But actually Bruges is older than Venice.
This is Renaissance style.
There the top is in wood, so that doesn't count. You can also visit the church. You can see a sculpture of Michelangelo, and that's very rare because there's not a lot of sculptures of Michelangelo outside of Italy. You can also visit a tomb under the ground, a catacomb of the Flemish Carole of Ostend. That's from Ostend. Very rare. It's very nice to be decorated.
Highest brick building in Europe.
And that meant that the government was able to rule their city for their own and not depend on the King of France. And in the side wings they used to store the lace and the wool over there, and the bells at the top were used to alert the people when there was danger in the city. When there was an attack on the city or a fire in the city, they used to ring the bells to alert the people. But now it's used as a music instrument, so every day there's a guy climbing up the tower, and at the top you have a kind of big piano with big wooden sticks, and he plays it with his fists, and then you can hear a melody. And at the other side we have another. Those you all have seen the movie Braveheart. Well, it's totally the same story, without the love story, of course. We had a rebellion against the French in 1302, because the King of France, he wanted to take this region for his own. And the people here didn't like that. So they rebelled against the French, and in one certain night, they had killed every French guy who was sleeping here. So the King of France was a little bit annoyed with that. So he sent his army towards here. The army of the French in those days was the biggest and strongest army in the world, because it was a professional army of knights. And we only had an army of civil militias, like those two Flemish, but they have lost. And it was the first time in history.
I'm just following this canal. Apparently if I walk 5 kilometres I come to a little village called Dam. People have been recommended to cycle it, but I'm off. Oh God, it's a great big thing behind me. So I'm going to walk it. It looks like it's going to pour down with rain, but my experience with rain so far is that it only lasts for about 20 minutes and then it's fine again. So it's going to go anyway. Got a raincoat packed. Hey, I'm walking along a canal to find my way to a small village called Dam. It's only about 5 k's. They tell people to ride bikes there, but if you ride a bike you get there and you go up the coast and you can find a beach. But 5 k's does not seem a long way to me, and got a lunch packed. It looks like it's going to rain, but I've got a raincoat. It doesn't seem to rain here for more than about 20 minutes at most, and you're fine again. That's the Bruges is way back there. It's a very pleasant looking walk. It's flat, it's tree lined. Now, not a lot of, so it's a bit noisy here. It's actually not a lot of traffic at all. And this lane is separated from the road by the trees, so it looks pretty nice. That's a good walk. The countryside here is really quite lovely. It's hardly countryside, but it's it's out of main Bruges. It's cooler, much cooler here than it was down south. I'm still only wearing a cotton shirt and a cotton skirt, but it's warm enough for some walking. Down south I was absolutely wet all the time from heat. South it was so hot. Up here it's a lot cooler. It's kind of like our, I don't know, spring autumn I suppose. Very pleasant for walking. And you can sleep at night with a duvet, something I haven't been able to do before I got up here. Riding school or horse breeding, one or the other. I'm walking on the wrong side of the canal. Over that side there's no road. It would have been much nicer, but I can't cross for miles yet. No way to get over there. I'm just about in Dam. That big grass piece around it, I think, is probably part of the sandbank that the guide told us about. They built sandbanks instead of city walls because when they hit the city walls with the cannonballs they exploded, but when they hit the sandbanks they just absorbed the cannonballs. A little house in the canal and the windmill. Apparently there's only 4 of these left in Bruges. I don't know if this counts as one of them or whether this is a separate one. Very quiet little village is Dam. Mind you, I'm only on the edge of it yet. Little sculptures just and this, I guess, is Dam Village. Square down there. Always the church. Mostly Catholic apparently. Protestants, when they got in, they pulled down all the Catholic effigies. And when the Catholics got back in, they started putting them all back. Seems to be more restaurants than anything else in any of these places. Restaurants and chocolate shops, so I haven't seen the chocolate shops so much here. Little side street off the main street. Looks a little bit interesting. Like some sort of a ruin. I'd say that's some part of an old city wall, maybe? Ooh, look at the head. Oh, it's a cemetery. I guess the buckets of water are to water the flowers. A lot of the graves have live flowers in them. It's a nice old pump. The bucket's there for people to get their water for the graves. I'm assuming these ones here have been cremated. It's a commemorative wall. There's two more down there ready for it. It must be for the ashes. There's one over there. It's empty. Here, some of it's been used. It goes up to 2006, so they're obviously the recent ones. But the brick wall's quite a lovely idea. I'm walking on down the canal. Eventually the canal will end up in the sea, but I just don't know quite how far it is. I'm hoping it's only a couple of kilometres or more. But I'm finding nice little things like this on the way, so it's okay. Looks like a bit of a lifestyle place. There's rabbits. Clearly they don't have a problem with rabbits here. These guys are just hopping around. Pig, a few cows, a couple of sheep and a goat. There's chooks there too. Okay, I'm walking back on the other side of the canal, which doesn't have the cars, which is nice. It's interesting to see all the trees when you get from here. They're all leaning over to the right here, both sides. Hadn't noticed it before. It's a real rural feel here, it's lovely. For cycling. I'm sitting on a seat underneath the windmill. And this is looking across at Dam, or the beginning of Dam. On my way back to Bruges. So I've walked about, probably by the time I get back, about 20 k's today, which has been really nice. Out in the country. It's even nicer down the side because you actually drop down below. Oh, there's a path on top and a path below the canal. And you've got 3 rows of trees to walk between, which is really nice. I think the bikes on the bottom, I might supposed to be up on the top one. Yeah, it's different kind of, a lot of white cows here. There's a whole lot of wind power at the back, way out there. I think this is a pig farm, and for all their flash cars, I wouldn't want to live there. The smell is pig smell. Yuck. Gorgeous looking place. The other side looked more like it had pig run. The smell's pretty strong. Something the camera can't pick up. Very pretty, very picturesque. Well, you have to get used to it. That track I walked along, top track, the horses. Oh well, horses and me. Have these seats all the way along the walk. I don't know how far, but it's nice because I can stop and have a sit and a rest and a look every now and then. Oh, it's actually moving slowly. So it's working very slowly, and the bridge is going up. Haha! I just walked across that bridge about 2 minutes ago. I must have got just before they changed it, because I was waiting to cross the lights and I could see the canal boat starting to move. Aha, it's starting to move a bit faster now. Bruges canal boat. Even got its own traffic lights. I don't think it's actually going anywhere. I think it's just a bit of a holding pond at the end there. The gate's closed. Here comes the bridge back. And there's the bridge I walked over again. Wasn't even aware that it lifted when I walked over it. some graffiti on the way to the train station. Oh, this is Ostend or Ostend. It's taken a day trip. It only cost me, what was it, $6.40 return. About 10-15 minute trip. It would be pretty easy to get from here across to London. Train just there. Oh, the school kids. One with the inevitable spires. I thought Ostend was tiny, but it's actually quite big. It's like a bit weird if I've got a big boat here and a sort of right plonked in the middle of the city. Just an series of locks that obviously let the boats in and out of the ocean and back into the I don't know what you call it, the little marina, I suppose. Long way down there, I can't get too close to it. The yacht's coming through, it's come through the lock. The lock's been closed behind it now. Two boats come through. And the gates close and just the water level will change again. A fish market right here on the, it's like a promenade goes around the front of the town, the city. There's a fish market. I don't know, maybe they've been sold out already. Smells very seasidey, lots of seagulls. The walkway I'm just following round. More bikes again. Bells around the front here, but it seems it's definitely the modern town, not an old one like I've been seeing. On this beach. And I guess the other side of the sea is England. Surprising how welcoming and how good it feels to see the sea after being landlocked for so long. It's just not used to being countries surrounded by land and not water. Looks like they're trying to bury the pipe. Maybe not. Moving the pipe. People on the beach. Not a tree in sight. No shelter, but at least there's plenty of space. And further on there's a few brave souls. Didn't say they were swimming, they're paddling. I don't see anyone up past their legs much. The beach does go on a long way. It's for miles. It's actually it's 11 o'clock, it's getting quite hot. I'm finding myself looking for shade to walk in. Interesting the way these beach deck chairs are. Half of them are facing away from the sea, or most of them are facing away from the sea. I'm not quite sure what that's all about. Actually all of them are facing away from the sea. a little weird. Oh, the toilets have gone up 10 cents from the wharf. They were 40 cents, and which is 80 of course. They go anything up to €1, $2 to pee. So you hang on as long as you can. €2 for a deck chair, and €2 if you want a, it's like parasol, I guess that's umbrella. I'm not quite sure, that might be an hour. I think it's for an hour. Obviously nobody's told these people about melanoma thing. I'm guessing these are changing sheds. I'll go down and have a look in a minute. Rows of them. I think these are the beach batch. So you keep all your bits and pieces in there. Oh, she's got a table and a table and chair. Yeah, that's the beach batch. There's a sign up with no bathing, so maybe that's why nobody's swimming. I thought it might have been just deadly cold. It's an ocean. At least you can just put out a blanket if you want to. It's a little bit better than where we saw in Europe, where you had to have a deck chair and they were bumper to bumper. Trans Euro ferry going out. The yellow thing I think was an ambulance screaming past a minute ago. Just back from the beach, there's a swimming pool, but there's nobody in there. There's a bunch of kids, I think that's a school party just on the beach here beside me. People have just disappeared here pretty much. Still a bit further to walk around to. It's quite a long walk. Those pillars I went through there, it's just actually a walkway. There's nothing in them. It's a really nice shady walkway to walk through. Coming in. This is just the walkway, which is nice and shady. There's a square behind the